It's Friday. What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a fantastic morning. I certainly am. I just saw a very interesting vehicle because Brian Max, good friend of mine, who you may have seen on the live stream before, because if you've been paying attention, that's where he's been, as well as his own channel at Brian Max. Well, he's got a Cadillac Escalade E, like an electric Escalade. I wild vehicle. Not sure it's something for me, but it certainly was interesting to have a look at. Anyway, yeah, what's going on? What's your weekend look like? Is it going to be party? Are you going to be on the road? Uh, I want to know. Tell me what's going on. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And you know what? I'm not alone here. I mean, I am alone. I'm in my basement right now, but there's nobody else here. But Diamond and Diamond is one of my sponsors. They help me do what I do here. So special thanks to them. Now, if you are interested in catching different stuff and things, I also have a podcast called Traffic Jam, where I jam about traffic with different people. The first episode for this year is out, and it features some magical people from Turf and Safe Roads Challenge, which is an app you can download. What can you do with it? Right now, great Canadian driving games. Yeah, the great Canadian driving games says so right there. It is a game, a sub game in the Safe Roads Challenge app. You download it, it tracks your movements, it knows everything about you. Actually, what it does is it reports back and gives you feedback. And if you went onto my Twitter account, you'd see that I have a pretty high score. Can you beat me? We'll never know if you don't download it. It does not disclose your personal information. It is absolutely anonymous. It doesn't burn your data because it does the big download or upload or communication with their servers when you're on your Wi-Fi. And you could win up to $100,000. That's the grand prize. There's also about 250 different prizes, gift cards, all sorts of things by completing challenges like daily trivia or going to different areas and just being safe. If you can measure, you can improve, and that's a big deal because I'm all about improving, constantly improving. That's the whole game. Get better. Anyway, I hope you are ready for questions and answers and stuff and things. We're going to talk about whatever comes our way. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap that screen and show that you like what you see. Not me, not this. The fact that I'm here for you. If you want to share that with other people who need to learn stuff and things, that's what I'm all about. It's helping people understand traffic laws. And I did that when I was a cop, and I'm no longer a cop. But as a former cop, I continue to do it. It's my way of giving back to the community. And so I'm here. So if you've got questions, I've generally got answers. And I was talking briefly with Sergeant Campbell yesterday. No, actually, yeah, just to say I was trying to fix a dishwasher and I couldn't talk, but then we didn't connect. But I want to ask him since I'm going to talk to him today. I want to ask him to come onto the show. And LJ jumped in, says, "Good morning, Sean. Great intro song. You should use this every time so your show is instantly recognized when someone hears it." I like it. I like it. I also want to take your advice because LJ mentioned last time that we saw LJ about putting my logo in the background. Now, I did have a different background at one point, and I might go back to it, but this is my soundproof room background, but it's a green screen. I could have it. I could be on a beach. I could be anywhere. Green screen is cool, although I do have an office outside of the house where I could go and have an actual office space, which I just need to go there. I have a duplication of all the equipment that I have here over there, so I can do it, but it involves driving. And then that means leaving the house and actually putting pants on. Anyway, Tracy says, "Hi, Sean." Hi, Tracy. Hope you're doing well. Brando says, "Good morning, Sean. Hope all is well. Happy Friday." Absolutely. John and Sarah Bortolotti. Did I say that right? Bortolotti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but hello. Daniela and Agnes and PS Creative Gifts and Dan Lamb. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And I see Big Jeff Fresh. Hope you're doing well. Big Jeff Fresh, I caught some of your live streams recently where you're gaming. Alita's dad is here, Milo and Sylvie. I know a Milo. I know two Milos. And John says, "Good morning. Good morning to you. If you don't have questions and you're just waiting for someone to ask something, that's probably, one way to go. But if you ask questions, this goes so much faster. Only because I don't know what you want to talk about unless you ask me about it. Tell me what you want to talk about. I will talk about tires, though. Have you switched your tires to winter or from your winters to your all seasons or summers yet? A lot of people have not, and I'm one of them. Why? Because temperatures have been all over the place. Now, you want to wait until we're averaging 7 degrees Celsius before you make the switch. And we're right there, but I'm not in a rush because I'm kind of paranoid about the idea of a big snow dumping next week. I'm making that up. But, things have been weird this year for the transition to spring and summer. And although I've had a couple of nice days, they've generally been cool. And what's the biggest thing that, well, winter tires are for? It's low temperature. The average regular tire is good in temperatures at 7 degrees and above, whereas winter tires are designed for colder. And that's when we do the transition. So if you're not rushing, you're probably not in line with everybody else. And then you can just drive in and take care of it. So if you've done it, let me know. If you haven't done it, let me know. If you don't use winter tires, I'd like to hear from you, because why don't you use winter tires? People usually argue that it's a money thing. And I have an opinion on that, because I have an opinion on everything. And the deal is, um, oh wait, no, everyone can hear me, but Michael says no audio. If you're not hearing audio, let me know, Michael. But Michael, one second, let me text Michael, because Michael says audio for everybody else. I'm getting response on TikTok, so I know they can hear me. They hear me. I'm texting back to Michael. There we go. He says, it was me. I had sound on a video and lost it for no reason when I joined the live. Well, I'm glad you're back. And I'm glad to see you, because Michael has been a long time friend of the show, been jumping in all the time, helped out with moderating, and comes out to live events. Live events, we got stuff coming up soon, I think. What's the next one? I'll be at the police memorial on Sunday. That's a big thing. And you know what? This is the first time I'm not talking about the police memorial in advance of the police memorial, mostly likely because I wasn't at the police station to talk to folks about it. But police memorial takes place on the first Sunday of May every year, and that's where I'll be on Sunday to pay my respects to the officers and the families who lost their loved one in the line of duty. It's a big deal, and I'm not going to get emotional right now. So, but it's a big thing. It's a serious deal, and it's quite something to see. Whether you watch it online or you watch it in person, Sunday, check out the memorial. Tracy says they took off their winter tires last weekend, so good timing. And went on to say, my tires are slightly cracking. I want to wait. Should I put the worst one on the back in case one pops when I'm driving? So this is where I'd say talk to a tire professional. Cracking could be the signs of a tire that's beyond its lifespan, and that could be more than just a bad day at the office if it goes, because you could cause a collision. And if it's seen that your tires are well beyond their lifespan, you could be held responsible for that collision beyond that of a flat. Like if you were to have a serious collision that's turned back, or if the source of that collision is directly as a cause of your tires. And I'll tell you something, I had a blowout, or I shouldn't say a blowout. It didn't actually deflate, but I had a tire whose belt shifted, and it was a tire that was just beyond its life. I think that's what the answer was, because they sent it back to the manufacturer to see what the cause was, like how this happened, because they'd never seen a tire that sort of just disassembled itself internally. It was pretty bad. I have an article about it on X.com and LinkedIn, as well as bettertraffic.ca. I posted it on all the platforms, and it talks about the fact that you gotta get your tires checked out on a regular basis. Keeping them until they have low tread may not be the best thing for you. So I would say have it checked out just to be safe, and take it to a trusted place. Because my biggest fear, and I don't like when you go somewhere and the mechanic says, "Yeah, time for $5,000 worth of stuff," and like, what, where, how? Some people will just tell you whatever they want to make a sale, and I don't like that. So I'm very particular about the people that I do business with and trust to give me advice. And that's why I go to Tire Butler for my tires, and I go to a mechanic that I like, because, I like dealing with people I like and trust. They go hand in hand. But yes, generally speaking, you want the tires that you think you're going to explode, put them on the back. but yeah, if it's cracking, may not be a big thing, but you got to get checked out by someone who knows more about tires than I do. Okay. I'm good. Everyone says that they can hear. We have Spider who says, good morning, my friend. Good morning, Spider. How you doing? I just keep them on. My shoulders are sore. I am not following that comment. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Brando changed my tires as the temperature in Alberta has been 20. Oh, you lucky guy. Whereabouts in Alberta? I want to come to Alberta soon. I want to check it out. I'll see what all the buzz is about. Lots of action in the media, all Alberta related. John says, okay, if you flash on, oh, he'll go in terms of a question. If you flash oncoming traffic to let them know there's a speed trap ahead, I've heard you can get a ticket for that. Is that true? So there's two things. One, you're technically misusing your headlights. However, headlight flashing is or has become an acceptable way of communicating. Well, what if someone has their lights off? Giving them a quick high beam flash or off and on is likely the best way to get their attention. And you're doing it for safety. So if you're communicating for a real good reason, I would see no reason to give you a ticket. If you were high beaming to say there's police ahead, well, you're long gone before anyone knows why you're high beaming. Well, but why are you doing that? Why would you want to tell police or tell the civilians that are speeding to slow down for police? I want them to get caught. Why? Because I want them to change their behavior. Because what happens is they temporarily slow down, they get through the speed trap without being held accountable, and then they speed up again. And then what happens when they hurt someone block away? You help them do that. Morally, I have an issue with it. Legally, chances are it's not a big deal. But you are misusing your high beam. So, I mean, could you have a ticket issued? Yeah. Will it happen? It's unlikely. It's unlikely. I feel like the evening show has music. We do Ask a Traffic Cop after dark, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, and that's because I have a mountaineer. I have an Albertan who joins me. That's Logan Grant from Brooks, Alberta. He is a he's a peace officer, sergeant. They do things a little differently there, and he can actually stop and enforce traffic laws, even though he's not a police officer. But he is a peace officer, so he's a uniformed member of their service, and he does all sorts of great work when it comes to that enforcement. And he supervises a team that does that. Anyway, if you haven't seen the After Dark, you should do it. And if you haven't subscribed, check me out on all the platforms. You can get I have things set up here I wanted to talk about. I was going to say you can go to all platforms and follow us there because the Voiceover Cop channel is on TikTok and Instagram and X, and I even have a LinkedIn page. But if you go to askatrafficcop.ca, this is what you'll see. Isn't it nice? Let me find my window so I can actually see what you see. Uh, yeah, this is my brand new setup. I like it. I like it a lot, and we're building on this page to bring you more good stuff because I want to make a library where you can go and look up all the questions and answers and things that we talk about during the lives. But of course, you can also get. Oh, maybe I can refresh this. I wonder if we'll see ourselves live right now. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is my brand new. Hey, it's me. Anyway, uh, so the deal is you can watch the podcast here. You can watch the live streams here. You can watch old archives. Lots of stuff. But the coolest thing, in my opinion, is that you can send me a voicemail. So if you send a question, we can actually play it on the show, assuming you don't say anything that's too personal and revealing or inappropriate, because it is a family show. But if you want to send me a voicemail, go to askatrafficcop.ca, hit the button on the side, then you can send me a message, and it's really easy. And it's different. I like it. I like it a lot. And then I was talking about the Great Canadian Driving Games earlier. Here's where you can actually get a link to go directly to the driving games. Or you can't see the pop out window, but it pops up a window. We can learn more about the study. But there's tons of stuff here, and it's growing every day. And come visit when you have time. You know. What else can I tell you? Can I switch this? Will this work if I switch it? Hang on a second. Just doing some testing here. No, it didn't. This is really annoying. Later, I was going to talk about recruiting, and that was going to require me to press a tab and make a switch. And here, I'll switch it now, but we'll talk about it later. Then I can have a smooth transition later and make it look like I got to talk to tech support because things aren't working the way they're supposed to on that front. Anyway. Let's see what we got here. Red Deer, that's where Brando is, right on. I can't say that I've been there, but I want to go everywhere. Canada is a wonderful place, and I think that tourism within the country is not been happening as much, at least not in my family. I did go out to BC, and I had a family. I was in Edmonton. I had family. I have family in Edmonton, so I've been there when I was a kid, but I haven't been there in a long time. Glenn wants to know about dirt bike riding on private property rules. No wheelies or jumping. So, technically speaking, it's stunt driving. So you can't do anything that involves taking your tires off the ground, burnouts, and things like that. But that's if you're being watched, and that's if there's a problem. So if your neighbors are calling to say you're doing that and complaining, well, police might be there, and police may have a conversation and could even charge you with it because it's a motor vehicle. It's an off-road vehicle, but it's a motor vehicle. I don't know if anyone's ever been charged for it on private property, like in that particular situation. There are exemptions. If you have a racetrack, then it's not against the law. If you look at the actual section of the thingamabob or the HTA, let's have a look at it. We're going to look at stunt racing HTA regulation. I probably do have this specifically linked somewhere. Okay, races, contests. Here we go. See if this works. No, it's going to the other page. Oh, well, I'm just going to place it with regs. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Races, contests, and stunts. So if we get into race and contest include any activity where one or more. That's for racing. Okay, hang on. Definition of stunt. And this really drives people crazy. For the purposes of Section 172 of the Act, stunt includes any activity where one or more persons engage in any of the following driving behaviors. One, driving a motor vehicle in any manner that indicates an intention to lift some or all of its tires from the surface of the highway, including including driving a motorcycle with only one wheel in contact with the ground, but not including the use of lift axles on a commercial motor vehicle, because that's when you have a dump truck and it has a set of wheels that lift, which is it's silly that they had to mention that, but I guess yeah. Driving in a motor where is it? Driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to cause some or all of its tires to lose traction with the surface of the highway while turning. So that's drifting, you see it says indicates an intention. You don't even have to successfully do it, but if you're weaving and trying to get to brake traction, that's enough to be considered stunt. Driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to spin or cause it to circle without maintaining control over it. I don't like the wording of it, but yeah, donuts. That would be a donut. Driving two or more vehicles side by side or in proximity to each other, where one of the motor vehicles occupies a lane of traffic other than the portion of the highway intended for use by oncoming traffic for a period of time that is longer than is reasonably required to pass another motor vehicle. So you can pass by going into oncoming traffic. You cannot simply hang out there for a race, which makes sense. Driving a motor vehicle with a person in the trunk of the motor vehicle. This is interesting because someone brought up, a buddy of mine brought up the fact that, is sitting in the back of the pickup truck illegal because of that? Does that make it stunt driving? Now the question is the bed of a pickup truck the trunk of that vehicle? Although people put their hockey crap in there, does that make it a trunk? No, it's a storage space, but it is a pickup truck bed. I don't believe it meets the qualifications. I don't think it's intended that way. But if you put someone in the trunk of your Chevy or in the back of your SUV, it would be the trunk, and that would be stunt driving. The fact is you still can't be in the back of a pickup truck. I just don't think it would qualify as stunt. But I'm open to being like the argument. I would have that discussion. Okay. Driving a motor vehicle while the driver is not sitting in the driver's seat. So that's anything from that stupidity of dancing beside your car when the car is in gear going and you're just walking beside it dancing like a moron. That would be it. Or climbing out of the driver's seat to sit in the passenger seat or back seat while it's in cruise control. People do really dumb stuff, and that's one of them. Let's see here. Driving a motor vehicle at a rate of speed that is 40 kilometers per hour or more over the speed limit if the speed limit is less than 80 kilometers an hour. And likewise, it's 50 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour over if the speed limit is 80 or more. So two different speeds for to trigger it. But this is one that people don't seem to get. Driving a motor vehicle at a rate of speed that is 150 kilometers an hour or more anywhere, regardless of the speed. So that's a thing. Wait, I wanted a different button pressed. Bye-bye. Nicholas Rizzi, how you doing? All right. Driving a motor vehicle without due care and attention, without reasonable consideration for other persons using the highway or in a manner that endangers or that may endanger any person. Driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to prevent others from passing. That one is something that many people don't understand. But yeah, you can't prevent someone from passing. You can't even intend to do it. Stopping or slowing down a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates the driver's sole intention in stopping or slowing down is to interfere with the movement of another vehicle by cutting off its passage on the highway or to cause another vehicle to slow or stop in circumstances where the other vehicle would not ordinarily do so. Yeah, if you were just getting in front to slow someone down to screw with them, like a brake check or just again slowing down to be a nuisance, that's an offense, and it's stunt driving. Driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to drive without justification as close as possible to another vehicle, pedestrian, or fixed object near the highway. You can't buzz the tower. Yeah. And these are all common sense things. Now, I'm getting down to, I'm reading every line because it may benefit someone else, but we're getting to the exceptions, and that's where we're going to talk about. Okay. And the locations, the places. If making a left turn where this is important because I have a video where I got two people in a row doing this in front of me. So it's my dash cam. Making a left turn where the driver is stopped at an intersection controlled by a traffic control signal system in response to a circular red indication. That's section 1. B, at least one vehicle facing the opposite direction is similarly stopped and in response to a circular red indication. This means that both vehicles, you and an oncoming vehicle, are stopped at a red light. Here's the third part. The driver executes the left turn immediately before or after the system shows only a circular green indication in both directions and in a manner that indicates an intention to complete or attempt to complete the left turn before the vehicle facing the opposite direction is able to proceed straight through the intersection in response to the circular green indication facing that vehicle. Wordy, right? It means that you did a jackrabbit start. So if you're both waiting at the red light, it turns green, and before you have a chance to go straight, someone cuts off and makes a left turn in front of you. That is stunt driving. And it's so bad because no one's expecting you to do that. But obviously the person making the jackrabbit start is a bonehead and thinks they're more important than everybody else. Or they're just really in a rush. Or they have to pee or whatever the excuse is, it's stunt driving. So here's the exceptions, not exemptions. I made them together. Exemptions. I'm making new words. Maybe I'm going to make a sticker now. Exemptions. All right. Despite Section 2, race and contest do not include a rally, navigational rally, or similar event that is conducted under the supervision of the Canadian Association of Rally Sport, under the supervision of a club or association approved in writing by the ministry. It's important. With the written approval of the road authority. Without permission, official permission. Motor vehicles owners engaged in a tour, scenic drive, treasure hunt, or other similar motoring event in which participants drive responsibly and in a manner that indicates an overall intention to comply with the provisions of the Act. Reasonable, right? At an event on a closed course with written approval of the road authority having the jurisdiction over the highway, including any event lawfully using any trademark, kart, Formula One, IndyCar, IRL, NASCAR, or what? Okay, so closed course, this is important, with written approval of the road authority. So that could be like the Honda Indy. Well, it is the Honda. It's a perfect example. Let's see here. Despite sections 2 and 3, race, contest, and stunt do not include any activity required for the lawful operation of a motor vehicle described in subsection 62, sub 15.1 or 128, sub 13 of the Act. This is the lawful operation of an emergency vehicle as defined by subsection 144, sub 1 of the Act. Yeah, that's irrelevant. Application of the Act. We're eventually going to get to the part that we're looking for, but because I don't want to jump around, I'm just reading it all. What is this? That's not going to help you at all. This is part of it. This section does not apply to a racetrack, motor speedway, or go-kart track that is built specifically for that purpose in a specified place. Specified place is the interesting thing. Does your backyard qualify or your farm land qualify if you build a dirt bike track? We have to look at specified place. B, an event similar to those described in Section 4 that is held in a specified place with written approval of the road authorities having jurisdiction over the highways from which there is road access to the specified place. So if it was being done in a private parking lot, you would need authorization. It's not sufficient to simply say, I built a road course in my school parking lot on Wednesday. Doesn't work. Look at this. Driver includes a person with care, charge, and control of a motor vehicle. Parking lot includes any parking lot, garage, or structure, whether public or private, paved or unpaved, flat or multi-level, above or below grade, including any driveway or road that connects the parking lot to a highway. That pretty much says everywhere. Any private, commercial, or industrial parking lot or empty lot from which the public would ordinarily be excluded. Excluded. So even if it's not something that anyone can get into, you can't use it. Any parking lot into which drivers are expressly or impliedly, it's a word I don't use very often, expressly or impliedly invited or permitted to enter with or without pavement, and no matter whether payment is made. Did I say pavement? With or without payment, not pavement. Words are blah, 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 blah. And no matter whether payment is made or whether the driver entered with or without permission. Here's the specified place. Specified place means any parking lot, beach, park, bike path, trail, farm field, or sports field. So let's take that farm field and scroll back. So the section does not apply to a racetrack, motor speedway, or go-kart track that is built specifically for that purpose in a specified place, which we can replace and say farm field. So, my friend, I think that if you create a track on your farm field, you might be okay, because it doesn't say that you need authorization. And I've read it differently before. Like I've interpreted it differently before. So I don't think you can just haul ass in your farm field. I think that if you were to create a racetrack on your farm field, or an off-road track, I think you might be okay. That took a lot. It took a lot to get there, but I think that that's my interpretation of the day. And I think I've taken a different direction, because I would have normally said private property, I don't care, you can't do it. But when you look at specified place and replace that section with you've built it specifically for that purpose, it doesn't say with permission from the governing road authority. In addition to that, it just says that, which would, so I think you might be okay. So that was a long and involved. Thanks for coming along for that ride. But hopefully, I can clip this and use it for somebody else later, and that is looking for assistance and informacja in that area. Glenn says, "Thank you, Sean. You're most welcome." That was all for you, Glenn. Let's see here. Oh, Iron Man says, "I've seen a guy sitting in an open trunk while his buddy drives in Brampton." I've seen a lot of things in a lot of places, including that. It's not a good idea. Are we familiar with crumple zones? Crumple zones include the trunk. It crumples to absorb impact in the event of a collision. If someone's in the trunk, it's going to crumple them too. Really, 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 really bad idea. Kevin Flag 133 says, "One hand riding on a motorcycle, is that a ticket?" Could it be careless driving? No. First of all, it's not a ticket. You don't need to have both hands on the steering, the handlebars at all times in order to be safely operating that motor vehicle. If it was leading, in fact, I have a friend who has one hand. She does not have two hands on the handlebars at all times, and she rides a motorcycle, modified, but she rides a motorcycle. Oh, Mike Franken said, it's Mike Franken for real, who says, "Hello, old OPC mate. I've been enjoying the show." Awesome, brother. Good to see you. I'm glad that you're enjoying, and I gotta follow you back so we can catch up. Just making a note. Making a note. That's awesome to hear from you. Expect a follow request soon. Okay. The Click Cop, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Megan Rod, Flally, Maria, who knows? Buck Fanks is back. Buck Fanks says this is an absolute fire information. So this is absolute fire information. It's not an absolute fire. I'm not down with the lingo, but I appreciate that, Buck Fanks. I just read it wrong, which I've been doing a lot this morning. I've had 3 words minimum that I read incorrectly because I jumped to conclusions. But I got to write down the exemptions, because it's. Did I say that? It was. I was making a new word that I want to write down because I want to make fun of myself later. Exemptions and exceptions became one. That's similar to how this happened. It's Lyrens, because it's where lights and sirens come to meet. This, if you don't recognize who's in the picture, it's not me. I do not have that red beard or cowboy hat, but I do want the cowboy hat. Anyway, that's Logan Grant. He is the special Special dude from Alberta, the sergeant peace officer, and he was on the live stream, and someone asked about lights and sirens, and he responded, "Lyrens." And I don't know if he made that up in that moment, but it became a thing. Lyrens, or where lights and sirens become one word. Yeah, it's like my grandfather used to conflate my brother and I into one name when getting mixed up. So there you go. Starboy says people usually do that for dirt bikes on a farm field. It sounds like that becomes an exemption or exemption. Boom, boom, boom. Buckfank says no cap, straight bussin'. I really need to translate that into English. I know the no cap part, but straight bussin', that one's new to me. We've got, oh, he says, or whatever the kids are saying these days. Right on. Starboy says, would 2 shots of tequila make someone blow over? Certainly, if it was in close proximity, time-wise, ingestion to providing a sample. Here's the thing with alcohol, and the first of all, when you ingest it, when you drink it, it gets into your stomach, and you start um, dealing with it. You start absorbing it into your system. So if there's this window where you've got mouth alcohol for about 15 minutes, and then that will dissipate. But you don't do a sample within 15 minutes. You tell the officer it was 5 minutes ago. I took one for the road, which might have them wait 15 minutes until you to provide a sample, and that would give you possibly a lower. But you could be getting more drunk as the body is absorbing that alcohol into your system. So is 2 shots a good idea? No, 0 alcohol, 0 drugs is a good idea. And if you're going to have alcohol, you want to sort of have a time buffer. If you had 1 shot and you waited a couple hours, I'd say you'd be fine. Like more than fine, you'd be okay. But everyone alcohol responds to alcohol differently. And I always talk about this one video I saw when I was a rookie, and that was um, it was a parade video. So when you're arrested, you are taken to the police station and paraded before the officer in charge. That's where the police officer who arrested you announces to the officer in charge of the building, the holding cells, holding facility, says, "This is ABC 1, 2, 3. This is Bob Jones, Bob, Frito, I don't know, whatever. This is the person. They're being brought to the station to comply with a demand for um, a what's it called, a test, and they pray, and then they go and do their tests and do all this stuff, or they're being arrested for assault or whatever the case is. They make sure that they're okay, they don't need medical attention, and then put into a holding cell, or in this case for alcohol, it's for a what's the room called, interview room. Anyway, I saw a video as a rookie where guy comes in and he's just a fall down drunk. He looks like he is loaded, but he had just over the legal limit. But then they show another person being paraded, probably on a different day by a different officer. And it was a woman who looked straight as an arrow. You would never get an indicator that this person was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. They blew 4 times the legal limit. So hard to say. It's not. Some people are professional alcoholics, and they respond differently to stuff and things. Hey, if you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. It really helps bring more people to the party. More people means more interesting questions that you may not even have thought of to ask. And that's what we're looking for, that unique mix of different stuff and things. Also, if you would mind sharing it amongst your friends and family, send it to people. You can actually hit a send and tell people that we're doing this, because not everybody knows that we exist. And the goal is to help everybody, especially if you know people that really suck as a driver or just don't know what they're doing. Want to help them and make fun of them a little bit. No, we've got to help them. I'm kidding. Kind of make fun of them a little bit. All right. That was from Starboy. And then Mike Franken says it's police information, not fire fist bumps. I'm trying to translate the emojis. Starboy says, thanks for enlightening me and answering my questions. You are awesome. Well, thank you, Starboy. I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate that. I'm always happy when people get benefit from the stuff that I do. And that's why, even though I've left policing, I'm still doing this to contribute. Yeah, I want to give back. All right. Let's I see a bunch of other questions, but I want to just take a second to shout out to Diamond and Diamond, because they are sponsors of the show. And I've got other sponsors of the show, and I will talk about them incessantly at other times. But Diamond and Diamond, I talk about them a lot because they're pretty cool. And I've got a Well, it's called Traffic Jam. It's a podcast where I talk about traffic stuff and things with different people, and also about different innovations in traffic safety. Talking about a drone company that is going to come on and talk about what they do, and that's general policing stuff. They have a drone that is AI. Is it, we call it AI? I don't think it is AI. I'm probably misspeaking. They're going to talk about it much better, but essentially, they're going to have deployment opportunities where you have drones in different areas across the city. And picture this: 911. What's your emergency? They say, I'm at the corner of two streets way too far away, and all the cops are 10 minutes away. Well, this drone can get there super fast. It can record sight and sound, right? Audio and video. It can report back. It's being piloted by a qualified operator at headquarters, and they are able to report what they see. They can read license plates. They can see and gather information. It's so cool. They're going to come on the show. Things like that. But of course, we have the first episode of the year, Great Canadian Driving Games, and they talk about the app. What's the app? It's an app that tracks your driving and lets you compete for a chance to win $100,000. By the way, my scores are going to be better than yours, unless they're not. But the only way to find out is if you go and download the app, install it. It's free. It's not invasive, doesn't spam you, and it doesn't report your personal information to anybody that. It doesn't report personal information. It's all anonymized information for the Traffic Injury Research Foundation, so they can learn what's going on the roads and try and make suggestions as to how to make them safer. I like it. It's important to me. And by the way, if you don't know me, where have you been? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I show up 5 days a week to answer your traffic and police questions. I do it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. And then I do it at 9 p.m. for After Dark because we want to appeal to a different audience. People who can't be here at 10 a.m. want to give them a chance for live stream access. And I do that more often than not with my buddy Logan Grant from Alberta. So we get the Alberta perspective as well. It's a thing. Okay, let's see here. Got questions about Alberta, I see. This is Unity, Unfinity. I'm reading things wrong. Can police check if your insurance is valid? If so, does the insurance company do internal checks? So if I pull someone when I was on the road, I would pull someone over, and I could see the Ministry of Transportation had a confirmed or unconfirmed status, which is not very helpful. So it does not replace your requirement to surrender proof of insurance. And that slip is paper, thus it doesn't know if you have canceled the policy or being terminated, or if it's fraudulent. So we still have to manually call the insurance company for a status to find out if you have insurance. Now, the cool thing is I can write down your information and then call the insurance company next month, next week, next year. We have 3 years to lay a drive no insurance charge in Ontario. So that's awesome because you don't generally have time to do everything you want to do on a stop. Now, if I have time, if it's a slow day, like I pulled over somebody and I really was suspicious that they didn't have insurance. So I took the time roadside because I didn't believe that they had insurance. I would check everybody's after the fact. But if I had a sneaking suspicion that you just didn't have insurance, or if you gave me a slip that was invalid, I'm doing the extra couple of minutes of digging, which meant calling the insurance broker who could very quickly tell me, or the insurance company itself to quickly tell me if it was in play. And I charged a lot of people for driving without insurance, but I didn't just willy-nilly say, I don't believe that you have insurance. I did do things like show me your banking app, not because I want to know how much money you have, but I want to see the payments coming out for your insurance. Because I've had people who said, "Oh yeah, I've got insurance." Great, where's the proof? Well, I left it at home. Okay, show me on the app that you have it. Then I just charge you the $65 for failed to surrender proof of insurance. So that's a thing. Unfinity says, can police check if your insurance is valid? If so, does the insurance company send it to them in Alberta? So yeah, they would just get a verbal confirmation. Now the nice thing is if you have a secure method of getting that card from your insurance company, that's going to be an updated. It's not just a picture. That's an actual app that will be live. And that I actually, for that purpose, I really appreciate the app. Let's see here. I've been ignoring the Rizzy. Oh, he gave me a dad joke for later. If you got dad jokes, throw them in the comments. I read them at the end of the show. Speaking of which, we're at 41 minutes, 35 seconds, and we're going to try and end it promptly at an hour. Last night we were on for 2 hours. If you want to catch that episode, you can go to VoiceOver Cops. It's the VoiceOver Cop channel on YouTube, and I have hundreds of episodes. Hundreds. You can also subscribe to Ask a Traffic Cop on your favorite podcast app. I see a Kayla Draconis is chatting away on our Telegram. Telegram.trafficcop.ca will take you to our small little community of people who yak about traffic stuff. There are people from the community who are just sharing conversational stuff. Okay. Uh Nicholas likes to warn people about speed traps, even when there is no speed trap, just to watch them slow down to a crawl and drive with paranoia, looking for a cop that doesn't exist. If you do it in that regard, I think that's the right way to do it. Messing with speeders, definitely. Uh, what is this? I've asked a lot. What is this? I've asked a lot of out of your. What is it? I don't know. I can't read this. I've asked a lot of out of your pay rate questions. What qualities as out of your pay rate? Oh, when I say that it's above my pay rate. When you ask about things the chief does above my pay grade, I don't know. I don't know what the chief does or how the chief does it because I'm not hanging out with the chief. Chief's got big stuff to do. Although I will be seeing the chief soon because I'm going to what is it called? It's the Crime Stoppers Chiefs Gala. I'll be there, and actually, I'll be speaking at the event, which is exciting. Yeah, that's cool. They asked me if I'd help out, and I absolutely said yes. Or I said yes, absolutely, I would. What do we have here? Was I on duty for the Sunrise propane explosion? If so, what are your thoughts? No, I wasn't. I don't know what I remember it because I remember that Philip DeFranco. I don't know if you know Philip DeFranco. He's an online personality, a news guy that started when he was like 15 years old. He was in Toronto for that, and I think he was hiding in in the bathtub of the hotel. But I remember him describing it to me, well, describing it to the world on his channel. He wasn't doing it for me. Uh, Mike's got to go. He says, "Got to go, old friend. Talk to you soon. Looking forward to it." Starboy says, "Sweet, can't wait to see it." And no more Instagram questions. Let's get back to what's going on here. Bentley Blends. We're talking firearms, possession acquisition license. With a pal, can I drive with a shotgun on the passenger seat, unloaded, and ammo in cup holder legally? That sounds like a really bad idea. Um, do you have your license? If you got your pal, you've taken your course. Uh, why would you want to do any of that? You're, yeah, doesn't sound like a good idea. Whether you are legally permitted to or not, we're not going to go down because this sounds like a fairly irresponsible thing to do with firearms, whether it's legal or not, because you're going to create panic if someone were to look inside your vehicle. But and I have to say, I am a legal firearms owner. I do that responsibly. I don't travel with a shotgun on my passenger seat and shells in the cup holder. I'd have to go back and look. It's just never a scenario because I transport everything safely in its appropriate fashion. It may in fact be legal, but I would never do that. Let's see here. Mind you, I will say that a police officer, when transporting, the shotguns go in the back, in the trunk, and then you put them in the rack, and they're loaded but not chambered. So, are police breaking laws when they transport firearms? No. But I wonder. Now I'm curious. Why would anyone want to do that as a civilian? Amy says, "How long did it take you to become a cop? Also, did you do it right after high school?" Well, Amy, thank you for the question. I did know I got on later. I was 24, 25. It was in 2000. I became an auxiliary police officer. I started as a volunteer. And then shortly thereafter, I became a court officer because I was having so much fun as a auxiliary, which is a volunteer. Then I became a court officer because they were hiring court officers and there was a freeze on police constables. And as I was doing both, actually during the process for courts, they started hiring police officers. And I made a mistake. I say a mistake because tactically it would have really changed the way things went for my career. I chose to stay as a court officer because I made a commitment. I said I was going to do it, so I did it. And when they said you could apply right now for police constable right now, I said, but I made a commitment. I don't want to like switch. I felt I should finish one thing before starting another. Okay. Oh, interesting. Infinity says, oh, sorry, let me back up. And then 12, just to finish off with Amy and becoming a police officer. So I was a court officer. And then 12 years later, I became a police constable. So it took me applying for like the first time I applied, um, it took me a weird amount of time because there was a hiring freeze from the time that I applied. I did everything, I passed everything. And then I get a call I saw the chief at the time on the news and I got a call saying, listen, we're going to be putting everything on hold. We're not hiring for like a year. So it took me a long, long time because of the year. But one application paused with a freeze in between, and then they reactivated the account when they undid the freeze, and then I became a cop. Now I will say that that is an unusual situation. Generally speaking, it's like a 3 month, 6 month process, depending on where they are in the hiring cycle. And right now, they're hiring people like crazy, and this is probably a good time to switch to this mode. And then I will switch to this screen, because this is the employment screen. If you go to tps.ca/careers, you will see this page, which has all the wonderful application information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, which I think is the best police service in the world. Now, if you click on police constable, there's one of my classmates, and you can scroll through and get all the information you need to know. You can also hit the apply now button and start building your profile, because you don't have to apply the day you press apply now. No, it's suggestive when it says apply now, but you create a profile, you start uploading your information, inputting. It's a big process. It takes a while. But in the meantime, you can read all the stuff you need to know about the job, what the requirements are. You can also study the entire website, learn everything you can from the police service you want to join by simply going to their website. And that way, you don't find yourself asking questions you could have read about when you speak to a recruiter. Because the worst thing in the world is where you ask a question like, so, what other jobs are there? Like the copper says, how many police divisions are there? And like, what do you mean? Like, if you don't know anything about the service, you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're applying for them, you should know everything there is. You should know the website inside and out, because you have the time, and if you're committed to it, you're going to do the right thing. Special constable, that's what I originally started as. The rank wasn't special constable; it was court officer. And we happened to be special constables. Now they've changed it because they've expanded the authorities and the responsibilities. Now there's parking enforcement officers. Well, not now. There was parking enforcement officers then too, but there's a section for them. Auxiliary officers, the volunteer role. That's how I actually started with the police service. Communications operator, those magical people who answer 911 calls and then dispatch police officers to go and help you. That's their page. You can learn about those jobs. I like going to civilian roles, and that is because we learn about different jobs that are posted. Ooh, there's 6 of them now. Senior business analyst, senior technical analyst, criminal intelligence analyst in intelligence services. Yippee, Yippee. No, it's Yippee. It's Youth and Policing Initiative. It's an after-school program where young people can actually apply for a job, get paid a decent wage to do it. It's what is it? There's 17.20 an hour, and yeah, you learn about policing. If you, and there's some qualifications required. Intermediate technical analyst and communications operator, those magical people I talked to you about a moment ago. Yeah, if you know somebody who might be able to get a job with a service, who's interested in a job with a service, who just wants to work for the best organization on the planet, they should go there. They should check it out. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. Yeah, tps.ca/careers. Go there. Go there and apply. Starboy says, "Do you know if all 75 what is this? Do you know if all 75 new speed and red light cameras have been mounted around the COTY or the city of Toronto yet?" I don't know what their status is. However, if you go to toronto.ca or .com, I always confuse which one's which. If one's a magazine, one's the city. They publish where they are. There's no secrets. I'm looking forward to it. We need more cameras. We need I think we should have cameras on every road, and that people who do 5 over should get a ticket. And people say, "What? 5 over? It's only 5 over." I think we should it's usually 10%. I think it's about 10% over the posted limit. And there should be no reason for anyone to go over the limit. People say, "Well, my car idles at more than 30 kilometers an hour." And I'm like, "No, it doesn't. If it does, it's broken." Like if you take your foot off the gas and it does 30 from a stop, accelerate, you have a problem with your vehicle. So people make a lot of excuses, but they just don't want to go slow. Yeah. Starboy says, "Could you still pass the physical running test? My buddy and I have been trying this at the gym lately, and it's not fun. I hate that test. I hate it with a passion." Now, I had a motorcycle collision in 2018, which took me off the road, and it really did change the course of my career. Actually, it created the opportunity for me to go into the media side of things. It was never a planned thing to do what I do, but I became a media relations officer primarily because I was injured and couldn't go on the road. I was a motor officer until my collision, and I miss it. But I have not run since my I've casually, I don't know what the right word is. I moved quickly, but I've never gone running since then, and I'd like to because I'm scared to. Today and last yesterday, my back was really messed up, but I have found myself moving quickly. That might be considered a run for a very short period of time, but I've also had periods of my life where I've gotten a lot better and then did something and regressed where I was now having problems walking again. So I'm very protective of my health. If it may, or my pain levels, or my ability to walk, I'm worried about risking things that could, put me in a situation where I can't maneuver or be as productive as I have become. So I did a lot of work to get to where I am now. I just don't want to go back to having difficulty walking to the same level. So yeah. Uh, but I can tell you what I did to pass that test, and that is I got 20 meters of rope and I took electrical tape to mark off certain lengths. So I had the 20 meters with the turnaround, and I just practiced that test with the beep test audio in my ears. But here is the secret. This is the secret sauce for anyone who's having problems with that particular test. Don't don't do it's the beep test. This is where you have to do 20 meters, turn around, do 20 meters again, and every 4 lengths it gets faster. And you have to get to level 7.5, I think now. Anyway, the way to train for this is not to do whatever you can do until burnout, stop, and then start again at 1, because you can do 1 through 5 easily, right? It's the next ones that are hard. Well, what you do to actually get better is when you burn out, you you stop, you take a break, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, lengths, but don't reset the tape to 1. Jump back in at whatever it's doing. Never pause it. Just jump back in where it's going. So if now you're jumping back in at 8, so be it. You're doing as much as you can, as hard as you can at level 8. And if you burn out again at level 8.5, so be it. Wait until level 9, jump back in at level 9. Whatever it is. Now, chances are you're not getting to level 9 and or failing way that high. You're probably failing at like 2, 3, or 4 as you're training on your way up. But it's that level of jump back in, to catch your breath and jump back in. It's going to get you to the next level. Hope that helps. It's not about there are people who can run marathons who cannot run that test. It's an NO2 max test. PJ Sue says, upcoming surveillance like China, those cameras have other purposes. No, those cameras really don't have other purposes. Those traffic cameras take screenshots. They don't take video. They're not video cameras. They are triggered based on particular movement. Um, they're not for spying on you. Could they take pictures of everyone who goes by so we can figure out where they are? They could, but they're not. Most of those aren't even wired. They're all SD cards that have to manually be removed. I mean, they are very specifically put there for a reason. Red light cameras used to be SD cards. They must have some kind of cellular communication now. In any case, those are not used for spying on the public. There are other cameras that could, and I like the idea of having cameras everywhere. You go to the mall, they have license plate readers that track vehicles on their property. They could tell police whether or not that stolen vehicle is there. Absolutely, and why wouldn't they? Makes total sense. I think it's good. There's a certain amount of privacy we give up to live in a society like this, and when we have so many bad people doing bad things, we need to do what we got to do. You're very welcome, Starboy. Okay, time check, 56 minutes. Cool. Got a few more minutes, and we keep doing what we do until we don't. Uh, what is this one? We asked about that. There we go. I like this statement. If you're going to drink, you can't drive. If you can't afford a taxi, then you can't afford to drink. The end. I just heard a story about 2 young people who were killed as a result of an impaired driver. It is absolutely disgusting that this is even something that still happens. I used to find an impaired driver on almost every night shift when I worked in Toronto. I used to take new recruits and train them in traffic. I wasn't a coach officer per se because they were already qualified as police officers, but they needed to come and do traffic training. And I was one of the officers who trained people on traffic. They'd come through for 5 weeks at traffic services, and they'd ride with me, and we'd learn stuff. It was good, and I would create a lot of work. So nobody wanted to ride. I shouldn't say nobody. Um, if you came out with me, you got it impaired every night, which is the way to learn. You do stuff. And one guy was like, "Man, can't we have a night off? 'Cause it's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work." But that's the job, right? You go and you find bad people and people who make mistakes that put people at risk. So the best advice is don't drive if you have drugs or alcohol in your system. Period. Not try and find the right amount. There is no right amount except zero, even though the law allows you to have more than zero in some situations. Akela Dracona says, "Sorry I'm late. Greetings and salutations. They came at 10:42." Yeah, that's late for Akela, but he's got a job. He does stuff. Akela left me a voice message. Oh, okay, he sent me a DM. Oh, here's the dad joke. He followed through. I'm just tagging these so I can hit them in a sec. Star Wars dad joke and a quote. Very good. Let's see here. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Right button. Right button. Rizzy says, since your collision, we don't say accident in this house, since your collision and couldn't be the cop you wanted to be, what struggles did you overcome? Example, depression, physical issues. What was your journey like? Well, that's a long story. It was really a big transition to not being a road cop. Like I still miss being on the road, interacting with people, pulling people over, responding, being able to help my blue family. Like my they're when there's an alarm in the building, you want to run to it. When there's a call for officer assistance, you want to run to help them because that person is going through hell. And when you're a cop, you want to go and help people, and you especially want to help your colleagues who are out there. You don't want one of your teammates to fall. I don't mean trip. I mean die. Like, and these situations can escalate very quickly. It's all on a razor's edge. So when an officer is screaming for help on the radio and you can't respond, it's really hard. And I struggled with that. I'd be monitoring the radio, which was probably, in some way torturing myself, but I'd listen to the radio and I'd listen to what was going on because I wanted to be able to report on it when I was creating content. And I wanted to be up to date on what was kind of going on. But when someone's asking for help and you can't be the one to help them, you feel useless. But then I found the internet. In terms of my investigation, took me to TikTok, and then one thing led to another, and here I am. But it still wasn't the same. I didn't carry a firearm anymore. I couldn't go out dressed as a police officer without a bodyguard. It was really tough. It wasn't because I was super famous. It was tough. And then there was the physical side of it, and pain and suffering, and not feeling the way you used to feel. I don't feel. I'm just wearing. I wear lenses for reading now, so things have changed since then. Okay, what do we got here? Scrolling back. Bad Cat says Thunder Bay has them for accident reconstruction, lost children. Great tool. We're talking about drones. Yes, and we have them too. We have some wild and crazy, big, giant, huge drones. We have little drones, little medium drones. I got my drone pilot's license, pilot operation, basic level operation. Not a very difficult test. Did that yesterday because I've had under or sub 250 k drone or gram drones, but I got a bigger drone now, and I'm looking forward to being able to fly it. You need to have a license to fly it. So for the $10, go do the license if you want to fly big drones or anything that's not a mini. Okay. Bad Cat says, oh, Amy had a question. What is Amy's question? What if, da, 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 da. Oh, I missed some dialogue here. Hang on a sec. Okay. Amy says, what if someone has their G2 after their G2 expires and they still haven't gotten their full G? You got to do a G2 test again to get your G2 extended for another 5 years. You have to do the whole test again. They got your G2, which is, you should have just got your G at that point because it's the same test pretty much, right? There's just an extra component of highway. Rocky Prasad followed. Thanks for the follow. And Epic Life Enthusiast followed. Thank you so much. So Bad Cat, we talked about, had the drones in Thunder Bay. Okay. Bad Cat says, if I give you my phone to prove insurance, does that give you permission to look through your phone? No, it really doesn't. And that's why there's like, you're showing it to them. You're not handing your phone over. Usually, it's not taking it with me. I'm verifying the information, making notes. There's also got to be a functionality in that app to send it to police. And now police are generally all badge number at TPS or badge number at YRP. You just send it to them from the approved place. Matt Zavi says, mafia mentality. Police officers are nothing but a gang of thieves to tax the citizens. Matt Zavi doesn't know his ass from the hole in the ground because that statement is so wrong. And sorry if you thought that was rude, but too bad. You're being an idiot. It's not mafia mentality. Police officers are people who put their lives on the line every single day to go help and serve the community. And you would be calling the police if you needed help too. But apparently you got a ticket, so you're pissed. Oh, well. I get to talk like that to you because I'm just a regular guy now. And you're making grandiose themes or claims that hurt policing and hurt the community. When you make statements like that, you may not realize how much of an impact someone who thinks you actually know something now develops a paranoia or a concern that the police are bad. And what do we have right now in the community? We have problems with criminality, criminal behavior that when I was a kid didn't happen. Why? Because people respected the police. And the police are doing nothing differently now than they did then, except now they're not beating your ass for being an idiot. Because when I was a kid, you spoke badly to a police officer, you got slapped in the face. Well, that doesn't happen right now because everything's recorded and everybody's respectful and everyone does the right thing. But it leaves people like Matt to stir up crap. You should be ashamed of yourself, Matt. You really should. If you don't like police, don't follow my channel. Go away. Just yeah. And D Ward quite rightly says, at Matt Zavi says, the coward behind the fake profile says that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently I can't bite my lip the way I used to in terms of shutting up. I respond to the trolls mostly because I think they should be shamed. Mike Sierra Canuck says, hi, Mr. Shapiro. I was checking the TPS career website. Most of the jobs are posted or not available. Sorry? Oh, if you go, so the page that I actually pulled up last, which was the civilian position, the police position is always open. You can always hit the apply now button. Parking enforcement must be open as well as special constable. They must be specifically open, and then they will show up in the civilian positions category. And then you must apply within the time open. Now, little trick if you want to be savvy is that you create a profile on the account, you create a profile for yourself and start uploading your application information, and you wait and you apply for the job you want, but you've already done all the stuff so you can get in and be ready. You just keep updating it. You can keep a profile and just keep updating it. So that would be my advice to you. A little back room information there. Starboy wants to know if there's a pot smoking limit that is safe to drive, and is there a way to detect if they have smoked too much or enough to affect their driving? So, yeah, we do sobriety testing, where you actually have to walk the line and touch your nose and do all that kind of stuff that we can use for roadside sobriety. We also have a buccal swab device that's deployed, and that device, they do a cheek swab, they test it, and they test for any content of marijuana or cocaine. And they will, if you're a learner, if you're a G1, G2, or under the age of 22, you cannot have, or a commercial driver, you can't have any in your system. So they would just take your license for that. Melody says, so happy my job does not require running. Sledgehammering, yes, but not running. Melody is a mechanic and doesn't want to run. I'm not a big fan of running either. I'm a big dude. And even when I was a less big dude, yeah. Interesting. We'll go back here for a second. Well, I missed a couple of things. So, since your collision, you could be a cop. Okay, we talked about that. What if someone still has their? We talked about that. Adriel Sigler says you will get booed at the gala for being MAGA and fascist. We also have prepared protests against you being MAGA. What are you talking about? Interesting. Uh, Nicholas Rizzi, I put my, oh, here. He says, I put my life on the line when I have to tell people they owe more taxes. He's an accountant. Uh, we're the same. We're both heroes. it's, oh, it's so interesting that Adriel Sigler. I'll have to check out your account later. But yeah. So we're in Canada, right? MAGA is Make America Great Again. Just want to make sure that you understood that I'm Canadian in Canada because the live stream is Canadian. Talk about Canadian law. Yeah. And Zionists, do you know what that means? A Zionist is anyone who believes that Israel has a right to exist, that have a right to have a country. So, yeah. And then Adriel Sigler continues to say, you live off my tax dollars. Well, Adriel, before I block you, I just wanted to let you know that I am no longer a police officer. I'm not paid by the government. I'm not paid by the city. I'm doing this to give back. I started a not-for-profit organization, and it's called Better Traffic, and it's a not-for-profit, and it's privately funded. Yeah, boy, what a weirdo. Okay, what can I say here? We were talking about not required running. Okay, now we have Amy, then we have Caper Guy. There shall be no there shall be no expectation of privacy in a public place. What are we talking about? I mean, I understand no expectations of privacy in a public space, but what are you? Maybe the other comment that would have possibly been entered got flagged by TikTok, but I'm not following because that's where you can be photographed in public and there's no expectation of privacy. So we got that. Have you ever been depressed in life? I think depression and being unhappy are two different things. Obviously, I went through a rough patch when I wasn't able to do what I did after my collision, but I wouldn't classify it as depression. Depression is usually being depressed when you don't know why. I think if you've got a good reason to be depressed, it isn't depression. All right. Oh, PJ Sue's talking about the convoy. Yeah, don't know what to say about that. Not, yeah. I don't want to get into that stuff. I'm not. Here's the deal. I don't. I have a. I don't want to make this political. So trucker convoy. It was peaceful. I don't know why they went over the top with it. And then you have other than the honking horns people were complaining about. And then you've got people taking over cities at the moment around the world. That very few places are actually responding in anywhere near what was done for the peaceful protest. When the other stuff is not peaceful. Okay, when pulled over, does it give the cop the right to look into the what is this? This is from Flally. When pulled over, does it give the cop the right to look into the driver's vehicle? Yes. Oh, maybe that's the conversation about the reasonable expectation of privacy. Maybe, possibly. No, two different platforms. The deal is that you're not allowed to what's it called? Prevent or block people from seeing inside your vehicle. Tint for security reasons, the back tint's okay, but not in the driver's compartment. So we can't search, but if it's plain view doctrine, like it's there, I can see it. Yeah, if you can see it, you can see it. So if I see a firearm, if I see drugs, if I see alcohol, I don't need any special warrant or thing to see inside. It's there in plain view. If I had other if I believe that there was other reasons to look in the car, I could smell marijuana back. I'm talking before it was legalized, but if you had the odor of alcohol, odor of gunpowder, if I had a reason to believe you had more, I might go from there. But it all depends. Why are you not a cop anymore? I left to take care of family. I had family stuff going on. Starboy says, being arrested once, spent the night in the tank. Next morning, when I got my phone back and released, it was given back to me unlocked. Really? How'd they unlock it? PJ Sue says, fair. Thank you for responding. Yeah. Yeah. It's really not a live stream conversation, I think, on that stuff because people are so polarized on it. And yeah, but we can have a conversation about that offline. Okay. Let's see here. Talked about that. Oh, Mike Sierra Canuck says, not to butter up cops, but Canadian cops are one of the most professional and nicest cops. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate it. So I will tell you that I will tell you that I used to work the Caravana Festival as Motor Squad, and I used to be right in the heat of all the clubs and stuff. And I used to have the greatest conversations with the folks attending the festival. And what was sad is that they kept on saying, "You guys are so um, friendly. You guys are so nice, not like the cops where we're from." Like, really? Because we're just people who happen to want to help other people. So is it different somewhere? I just can't relate. And I've never had a bad experience in the States with the police. I, I don't know. But it's unfortunate that people have had bad experiences. That's obviously I want to be the one that helps people. I want to know that people know that they can run to the police for help. It's a big deal, and that's why when parents talk about, see that guy, he's a cop, and if you don't do what I tell you, you don't go to bed when I tell you, we're not going to let you. I don't know. He's going to take you away. Whatever they say. I used to give parents crap for that. Yeah, actually, I think I gave Rizzy crap for that. Didn't I, Rizzy? You did that at the car show. I think you were making a joke, and I'm like, you cannot do that. Yeah. Sorry, I got to make a note of this person so I can file some paperwork. All right. Uh Melody, yeah. The problem, Melody, and I appreciate your comment. They don't know. They've been told to think certain ways. They're just lemmings. Bruv says, "Hey, is there any news on when you will be doing another public appearance?" So, other than the fact that I'll be at a gala coming up that apparently Adriel's coming to boo me at, then I'm not sure what else. I've got to look at the calendar. There's a couple. Oh, I'm going to be at 43 Divisions open house as better traffic. When is that coming up? That is coming up. Hang on, I'll tell you. I'm going to put it on the website. There's actually a calendar that I'm adding to the website. And that's not my calendar. That's my phone book. Hang on a second. Open house. I think I put it in my calendar. No, apparently you have to spell house correctly for it to find it. It is Saturday, June 7th. I will be at 43 Division all day. Come down, say hello. 43 Division. That's Toronto Police 43 Division. I'll be there as representing Better Traffic and Ask a Traffic Cop, and I'll do some maybe live streaming from there. So if you can't make it in person, by all means, tune in. We'll do some live streaming. Let's see here. Starboy says there is actually no lock screen on it after I gave it to them locked. Do cops have the right to do this when it gets booked? No, they don't have a right to search your phone without a warrant, but even then they don't have the technology to open it up. So unless it was extreme, like unless you were being investigated for like, red rum, I can't imagine them doing anything to unlock unless it was a really easy code. But generally speaking, it's a little odd. I gotta say I've never experienced that. If someone wants to make a stand, they should have hard evidence as they want to. Yeah, 100%. Okay. That has taken us to the end of the live stream. It's an hour and 15 minutes. I went 15 minutes over, and I made friends with my new it was Adriel, who's coming in talking crap. But you know what? You got to love sorry, I wouldn't want to call them losers. I mean the mentally ill who come in here and rag on people. Just saying. But apparently they have an OnlyFans page and suggest I not subscribe to it. Don't worry about it. Not subscribing. No, not interested. Thank you. It's okay. M says I missed your question. I did miss your question. Sorry, Ems. Are motorcyclists allowed? Are motorcyclists allowed to drive in between lanes if there's traffic? And the answer is no, not in Canada, and not in the majority of the United States. Only 5 U.S. states permit lane splitting, which is what you call it when you drive between moving traffic, and it's not legal in Canada. It's not legal anywhere, but it's not specifically ruled as illegal. And let me explain. So, whereas there are laws for all sorts of things, there's no lane splitting law that I'm aware of explicitly listed as that. What they do have is careless driving. They also have stunt driving, and they have dangerous driving under the criminal code. And any one of those could be what you charge these people with. And M says, I see it all the time on the Gardner. I see it all the time everywhere. Now, lane splitting is moving traffic, and you've got to admit that if you're driving a motorcycle between moving traffic, that's pretty careless, which is why most people would go with careless driving. But if it's such a way that you're zipping through and making all sorts of combination of moves that are dangerous to public safety, I would charge you either with stunt driving, take your wheels, suspend your license, or handcuffs, and you're doing it's criminal dangerous driving, especially if it leads to a serious injury. Thanks for the reminder, Akela. We're talking about dad jokes here because we've got one from Nicholas and we've got some from Akela. So here's from Nicholas, and I gotta get ready. We'll start with the Nicholas one because he was on time. I'm just busting your chops, Akela. I have to read his before because man, they're dark. What is this? I can't read this. No, can't I can't do that one. That's especially no, you can't do it. That involves no. That one crosses a line. Okay. It yeah, no. Okay, Akela Dracona says, Dad joke, someone sold me a really cheap thesaurus. Nobody Okay, dad joke. Someone sold me a really cheap thesaurus. Not only am I angry, but I'm also angry. That's really great. I love that joke. That's just really, really good. And if someone like that's really good. I'm sorry, I'm so impressed with that joke. You've had some groaners, dude, but that one's awesome. Maybe it's just me. I appreciate that one. Um, yeah. Starboy says Birch Mountain, Eglinton, 43 Division. Cool. Thanks. Might see you at 43 on July 7th. Cool. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Look forward to meeting you. All right. Star Wars dad joke. These are usually less good because I'm less of a Star Wars person. I mean, I'm a Star Wars person, but I'm not a Star Wars person. Akela is a Star Wars person. Okay, here's the dad joke. Why did the Millennium Falcon let's try it again. Why did I have to get closer to the screen. Why did the Millennium Falcon sublight engine start to hum? Sublight engine. Why did the Millennium Falcon's sublight engine I gotta read it once without humming or interrupting myself. Why did the Millennium Falcon sublight engine start to hum? It didn't know the words. Put it on screen. It's not bad. I get it. It's yeah. Another Star Wars dad joke. Why doesn't 3PO respond to Luke calling him from the trash compactor? Protocol droids aren't very good at trash talking. That's actually very well done as well. Why doesn't 3PO respond to Luke calling from the trash compactor? Calling from the trash compactor. Yeah. Is there another way to say this joke that would roll off the tongue better? No. Why doesn't 3PO respond to Luke calling from the trash compactor? Protocol droids. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like it. It's just, and I'm picking up what it's putting down, but is it the best joke ever? Maybe not. The other one was better. We've got a quote, and then we're out. Okay. When you're the only sane person, you look like the only insane person. Chris Jammy. Yeah. I don't think I just gotta say, I don't think that Adriel is fits into this category. I think they're just insane. But that's me being mean. All right, maybe they're just misunderstood. Maybe nobody hugged them. Anyway, it's been a great day. We'll leave you with this. It's the weekend, at least after work. So be safe out there. Drive with no alcohol, no drugs in your system, because impaired operation is a great way to ruin your life, not just your weekend, and potentially other people too. So drive safe, drive sober, no drugs, no alcohol. If you're going to park legally, because Erin knows people. And I don't know if she ever sees all these. I constantly end the show with Erin has spies, Erin's, but I don't think she has because she's never said anything. So do me a favor, go on to Erin Urquhart's socials and just say, did you hear what Sean said about you on the live? Let's get her all spun up a bit. She's getting married soon. We have to harass her a little bit. Oh, we got I almost left out some dad jokes that Starboy is sharing. He says here, How do you make a tissue dance? Put a little boogie in it. Very good. What is a funny mountain called? Hilarious. And what is Forrest Gump's password? Ha! What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one. Very well done. Those are fantastic. Yeah, that's it. We're going to see you later. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. And Monday morning, 10 a.m., I'm back. And then Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to have my buddy Logan Grant from Brooks, Alberta. He'll join me. And we'll do 10 a.m. on Wednesday, 9 p.m. on Thursday. And we'll be back a week today to do it all again on 10 a.m. for Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody.